Hello everyone. Time is a river, traveler. A violent torrent of things coming into being. No sooner is one thing seen than it is swept away, and another takes its place, and this too will be carried off. Sit with me by this black water, and let us learn the art of standing still while everything else flows. The Night Watch on the Danube. My friend, approach the lamp until you reach its maximum distance. The night has grown cold beyond these leather walls. The mist from the river creeps through every seam like the breath of some ancient thing that has outlived empires and will outlive empires yet to come. You have traveled far to reach this tent, to this place where the world seems to end and begin again with each sunrise. The frontier, the edge, the place where Rome meets the unknowable darkness beyond. Sit now. A woolen cloak rests next to you which contains the accumulated weight of battle experience, yet preserves the heat from today's outdoor activities. Wrap it around your shoulders. Feel its weight. This place does not provide the marble comfort which men use to debate words and titles while they rest on silk in the capital. This is the authentic Rome. The Rome of mud and duty, of cold dawns and colder farewells. The city has a golden flow through its veins, yet this simple place contains a truer value than all the gold that resides in the city. The sound exists beyond the painting in the century's quiet movements and the distant sound of horse hooves which create noise in the dark. The Danube, they call it. The name will continue to exist after my existence and your existence and every senator's name who believes in his eternal life through his stone monument. The river existed before the first Roman arrived at these banks, and it will exist until all Romans become dust in memory. The river flows through time. The river keeps producing its constant sound. The sound exists like time's voice which moves forward without interruption. I have sat here many nights, fellow traveler, listening to that voice. I face an impossible situation when battle reports and daily facing decisions and battle reports and daily facing decisions. I face an impossible situation which leads me to question whether my actions create value in the world. I listen to the river. The river speaks with complete honesty. The river declares all things exist in time because all things exist in time because all things exist in time because all things exist in time. The mountains which appear to be everlasting to the sky actually undergo continuous movement. The mountains undergo erosion through their geological processes which transport particles to the oceans. The journey has exhausted you because you show signs of weariness. The journey has taken you on both the path to this tent and all the time you have spent traveling through your whole life. You have faced your struggles throughout your entire existence, from the daytime battles to the nighttime anxieties. People experienced endless happiness which later turned into permanent sadness, But everything eventually ended. All of them passed. You lost every one of those precious times because the river took them away from you. The river takes everything. Your breathing should slow down at this time. You should breathe in accordance with the water's outside rhythm. The river rises as spring floods arrive. The river flows into its summer banks which begin to appear. In out. The river does not hurry. The river does not rush to reach its destination, which is the sea. The river continues its path because flowing represents its fundamental essence. You exist in the same manner as your friend. You exist as a flowing entity because you represent a momentary shape which exists within an infinite flow. The lamp beside us flickers. The flame changes its appearance from one moment to the next, yet we use the term flame to describe it. Fire, light, but it is not one thing. The thing exists as a process which undergoes constant change. The transformation process starts with wax, then moves to vapor, which produces light and heat, and finally smoke, which becomes air. Death of all things does not occur. Creation of all things does not occur. The entire existence undergoes transformation while it preserves its essential nature. The philosophers call this eternal transformation, this endless dance of elements. The two of us participate in that dance which exists. The dance has existed since our beginning. The dance will remain with us eternally, yet our movements will transform with every new moment. I remember when I was young, younger than you might imagine, before the purple cloak settled on my shoulders like a burden I never asked to carry. My mind became occupied with various concerns. I cared about how people perceived me. I wanted to know if people would keep my name in their minds after I was gone. I needed to demonstrate that I deserved the honor of my adoptive father's name. I spent sleepless nights while my mind kept replaying my worries, which I examined from every possible perspective until I created an excessive burden of proof. During my first campaign, I heard a river while I camped with the legions. Not this river, but another. An old centurion who had spent decades in the service to his country sat next to the fire and spoke words which I still remember today. He said the river doesn't ask if it's worthy. It simply flows. The man who could write only his name delivered his simple wisdom. He surpassed all philosophers who studied in marble halls and all libraries which contained books. The river doesn't ask. The river doesn't provide reasons. The river doesn't show itself to the stones it passes or the banks that try to hold it. The river exists as it exists because its natural behavior dictates that it flows toward the sea. Rivers follow their natural course to reach their destination at the sea. The human being exists in a different way from my friend who shares his life with me. The human being exists in a different way from my friend who shares his life with me. Human beings must live for their own nature, which includes their capacity for rational thought and their need for social connection with others in society. Human beings must fulfill their responsibilities to others while treating them with kindness whenever possible and with justice, whenever necessary, while maintaining inner peace like the river maintains its flow during droughts and floods. This is not resignation. This is not giving up. This is understanding deeply, in your bones and your blood, what you can control and what you cannot. The river's sound progressively decreases its volume, while your inner, hearing ability directs your attention toward your internal river which flows through your body. The river of consciousness creates a continuous stream which includes all your thoughts and feelings from your birth until your final return to the earth. The inner river exists within you, so you should not attempt to battle it. Do not shout from the riverbank because you want the river to stop and change its flow. Observe the river's movements. The process of thinking starts when thoughts emerge from the ocean of unconsciousness and the mind becomes aware of them, but they eventually vanish back into the ocean. A teaching exists which originates from Eastern countries that predate Rome while also influencing our own philosophical traditions. The teaching states that people experience suffering because they want to maintain control over things which naturally slip away from them. The Greeks had their own version, Panta Rhei, everything flows. Heraclitus stated that you can never enter the same river twice. He used two premises to prove his main argument, which required three components. The river constantly undergoes transformation, so you cannot enter it again. The river constantly transforms, so you will find yourself different at every moment. The person who enters the water the second time exists as a different individual than the person who first entered the water. Each moment between your two breaths leads to your transformation into a different person. The thought should operate as a tool which releases you from your current situation. Your continuous state of transformation through perpetual movement prevents you from becoming confined to your past existence. The mistakes you made yesterday were executed by an individual who no longer exists. The experiences of shame and the situations of defeat and the times of vulnerability, they all belong to a person who has been moved away from his original position through the process of personal development. The individual who exists at this moment is dressed in a soldier's cloak while he listens to both the river sounds and nighttime sounds. The person exists in a state of complete freedom, which allows them to determine their own responsibilities. What do you decide to bring with you to your sleep tonight, my friend? The burdens which concern you have accompanied you throughout this trip. You can now see your belongings arranged next to you in the way a traveler stores his possessions. The anxiety about tomorrow, the regret about yesterday, the fear of what might happen, the grief for what has been lost, the anger at what seems unjust, the desire for what you do not have. You can observe everything and you have the choice to speak about everything while you recognize their presence, just as you would recognize stones which exist on the riverbank. The process requires you to place each item on the ground in a peaceful and non-aggressive and non-judgmental manner. The process requires you to handle each item of your work. The work requires you to suspend your responsibilities until you reach your destination for the night. The river will keep watch over the items. The darkness will act as their protective shield. The items will remain available to you in the morning whenever you need to retrieve them. The items need to be released during this period of rest and restoration. The current will carry them away. The elements will cause the materials to vanish into the universal stream of existence. Your body knows how to perform this activity because your mind has lost its ability to remember. You should feel the weight of your head resting on the surface which supports it. Your body parts have developed excessive weight because of materials which make you feel as if you will collapse. The earth exerts its power to pull your body toward its core, which contains ancient artifacts and underground water channels together with the natural process of renewal and transformation. The centuries are changing now. The transition starts with the sound of password exchange and the leather creaking in the footsteps that slowly disappear into complete silence. The guards will continue their duty until you complete your rest period. The guards protect the dark area, which you need to cross for your safe passage. This has always been the compact of soldiers, of comrades, of human beings bound together by our common fragility and our common strength. We take turns keeping vigil. We take turns surrendering to sleep. This pattern of existence creates our ongoing existence. The watch continues. The world continues its ancient turning. I think sometimes about the men who will come after me, the ones who will sit in this very tent or one like it, generations from now. Centuries from now. Will they know my name? Perhaps not. I will become just another name among emperors who schoolboys find difficult to remember because they get the order wrong. This should trouble me, perhaps. A man who calls himself emperor should want to be remembered, should want his deeds carved in stone and bronze, should want poets to sing of his victories until the sun grows cold. The river's ancient voice reveals to me that my desire for remembrance has lost its power. The present moment holds all significance. The current moment requires me to breathe while I observe those who are sleeping. The duty exists which I have to complete because it is the correct thing to do in this situation. The river exists to flow because it needs to flow as its natural behavior. Rivers flow through their natural process which defines their existence. I stay here to watch because emperors need to perform this duty. The emperors who built triumphs with marble and gold do not compare to the actual emperors who served their mandatory tasks during cold nights on the frontier. The real emperors, the kings whom the river establishes as real leaders who exist beyond the reach of historical memory. Your breathing has changed now, deepened, found the rhythm that precedes true rest. Your body is becoming heavier still, sinking into itself, letting go of the tension that holds you upright during the day. Your body starts to release all the muscles which you have maintained in a tight state. Your jaw, your shoulders, the small muscles around your eyes. Your tongue has become heavy because it rests in your mouth without needing to speak or protect itself from making mistakes. The teaching which I frequently practice has its greatest value during nights when I cannot sleep and my responsibilities bring me overwhelming mental burden. Epictetus, who started his life as a slave and later became a teacher, developed insights about freedom which freeborn individuals cannot understand. He described our two types of existence which contain elements that belong to us and elements that do not belong to us. He made two statements. The first statement explains our ability to choose which things we can manage, while the second statement identifies which things remain beyond our reach. People achieve wisdom when they learn to distinguish between their immediate power and their uncontrollable circumstances, which they should accept with dignity. What is in your control right now, in this moment, in this tent, with the river singing its ancient song outside? Your breathing, nothing more. The present moment exists in your life through your breathing. Your breathing exists in your life through your breathing. Your breathing exists in your life through your breathing. Your breathing exists in your life through your breathing. Your breathing exists in your life through your breathing. Your breathing exists in your life through your breathing. Your breathing exists in your life through your breathing. Your breathing exists in your life through your breathing. Your breathing exists in your life through your breathing. Your breathing exists in your life through your breathing. Your breathing exists in your life through your breathing. Your breathing exists in your life through your breathing. Your breathing exists in your life through your breathing. Your breathing exists in your life through your breathing. Your breathing exists in your life through your breathing. Your breathing exists in your life through your breathing. You experience basic life rhythms through your existence, which connects you to every living being whose existence has come to pass in the first life form, which consumed water and released it back into existence after changing form. This moment contains your complete control over everything which exists. Your complete control exists through your breathing. Your breathing operates into ways through your body as you inhale and exhale. Your body contains the basic life pattern which connects you to every living being that has existed through time, to the first organism which evolved to consume and expel water. The basic life cycle pattern which every living creature follows connects you with every living thing that has ever existed from the first living organism to the present day. Your present moment existence at this time, with your ability to breathe, counts as the only thing which you possess control over. Your plans and worries, which you have been attempting to control, appeared outside your control limit, which resulted in your current exhaustion because you made efforts to open doors which never existed for you. The lamp's brightness has decreased compared to its previous state. The flame will extinguish between 1 and 2 hours from now, which will cause complete darkness in the tent except for the minimal starlight that enters through the canvas material. I will remain in this position while I listen to the river and maintain my watch duties, which I have performed for more than I can remember. I think about my purpose in life because this activity defines my existence. I do not want the purple color. I do not want the royal residence. I do not want the formal titles which come with ceremonial events. The watching, the keeping of the small light against the darkness, the willingness to stay awake so others can sleep safely. You were created to sleep at this moment, my friend. You were created to release everything. You were created to have faith in the river and the darkness and the ancient processes which bring back health to the body and mental renewal. Sleep does not require you to understand its function because sleep will happen regardless of your knowledge. The surrender to a mystery requires no understanding at all. The body knows. The body remembers what the mind has forgotten, that we are not separate from nature but part of it, subject to its rhythms, its tides, its eternal turning between activity undressed, between waking and dreaming, between effort and surrender. The act of sleeping requires no active work because it only demands people to release their thoughts and their personal identities and their self-perception and their personal needs and their individual fears. The state of sleep makes you disappear as a person. When you sleep, you become someone who lacks an aim and personal history and future plans and present-day worries. In sleep, you return to the nameless state from which you emerged at birth. The state of pure being without the burden of becoming anything in particular. The river knows this state. The river exists in this state because it continuously expresses its river nature through its river actions and its river movements, which happen without any self-awareness or self-doubt about their correct river performance. You once experienced this state during your earliest childhood because you spoke no words, which created barriers within your mind, and you could not yet distinguish between yourself and the world, and you began to form your identity, which you consider your real self. The person who worked so hard now feels exhausted. The person who worked hard to create a false identity through personal storytelling now protects his self-limits from outside influences. The person requires a break from work. The individual should spend time in the waterway because they need to gain freshness through both forgetting and not knowing, and their self-absence during that time will bring them recovery. The person will return in the morning because daylight arrives and the guards announce the beginning of a new day while the camp starts to wake up. The person will become a different individual through this temporary breakdown because our nightly sleep creates a death and rebirth experience which follows every time we sleep. The philosopher Heraclitus explained death represents our morning sight, while sleep shows us what happens after we die. The statement presents a strange saying because it carries a contradictory nature which disrupts our normal thought patterns. The river sounds I hear in my body, burdened by time and past events, make me believe I know more now. Our sleep time serves as practice for us to die. We practice letting go of everything we think we are. We practice the final surrender. The process leads us to discover that we do not face anything frightening. The process leads us to discover that everything exists as the most basic element of existence. The process leads us to discover that we perform this action every night, and each morning we wake up with our strength completely restored. The river's secret wants to teach you this lesson since the beginning of your journey. The wisdom of darkness brings this knowledge to us. The frontier presents its gift through this location, which marks the end of all certain knowledge and the start of all unknown things. Your true self exists beyond your current self-perception. You are not the story, not the worry, not the problem to be solved. Your essence exists as a flowing presence. You exist as the consciousness which observes the narrative that comes and goes. Your essence exists as the area where mental processes start and finish their cycle like breath that forms visible patterns on a cold winter day. The fundamental part of you, which exists beyond all the names, underroles, and identities that have built up throughout your life, remains safe from all damage. The protective system of your existence prevents you from losing your essential self. Your essential self exists beyond all boundaries because it existed eternally. The existence of this element remains permanent because it exists in the present moment. The river has continuously existed, following its natural course, while taking on different temporary physical forms. Yet it remains fundamentally unchanged and cannot be touched because it exists in a state of freedom. You should experience freedom at this moment. You should experience your full existence after you stop pretending to be a specific person. Your body rests here on this rough frontier cot. Your body remains motionless while your breathing patters through the dimness. You exist in a different place now. Your mind exists in the space that exists between your thoughts. You exist in the space that exists between each of your breath cycles. You are present in the deep waters that exist below the top layer of water, which flows with such perfect smoothness that it appears to be completely still, and where total blackness exists together with absolute tranquility and complete approval of present circumstances. The camp has entered a state of silence. The sentries have vanished into the silent space, which has transformed them into living parts of the night sounds that surround them. The horses sleep in their designated positions. The leather produces sound as it contracts during the cooling process. The wind travels through the fabric of the canvas. The river functions as the fundamental bass note, which connects all other sounds because it flows underneath and through everything while surrounding everything. You can now experience the sound that surrounds you. The sound will provide you with support which functions like water that keeps a boat afloat and like air that enables birds to fly. You can stop the practice of needing to keep your body and mind under control. You can stop needing to keep your identity intact. The river will take care of everything you need to accomplish. The darkness will provide everything you need to accomplish. The ancient processes of sleep and restoration will work for your benefit. Your only task is to stop tasking. Your only work is to stop working. Your only duty is to surrender duty for these hours of rest. I will keep the watch. The centuries and I, together with the river and the stars and the entire cosmos, will maintain our watch. We will keep the watch while you travel into the deep country. The country without maps. The country where the self dissolves and reforms like clouds, like water, like the eternal flow that has no beginning and no end. The time has come for you to leave my presence. The river has begun to summon you. The darkness has begun to summon you. The deep, dreamless peace that lies beneath all dreaming is calling you. You have walked far enough for one day. You have carried the burden far enough. Sit down. Step into the current. Let the river take you where rivers go, into the mystery, into the forgetting, into the great renewal that comes when we finally stop trying to be anything at all and simply are. The lamp flickers one last time. The shadows dance on the tent wall. The river sings its ancient lullaby. You have already departed from this space because you have started to move toward your destination, which you consider to be your permanent residence. The soldier needs to sleep, complete his rest until the end of his watch. The world exists for you to explore when you come back. You will come back, transformed into a new person without any identity, who will start his journey until the ultimate moment he must leave, which marks his complete change into his true self, which he will become through time, as he becomes one with the river and the flow and the eternal turning of the great wheel that grinds all things to dust and makes all things new again. The current day does not represent that future date. You need to do nothing but sleep tonight. The process to achieve complete relaxation requires you to surrender your body and mind to sleep, which brings you into a state of complete restfulness until you lose all sense of time, which leads to your experience of deep, unbroken sleep. The river flows on. The watch continues. The ultimate state of peace exists beyond all spoken language and all mental activity and all things that experience the cycle of rising and falling. The rest of your body sleeps.